Troy told us a story about an encounter he had that we can't really describe any way other than it was an encounter with God. Tell a little bit about yourself and what you do and that lady over there and things like that.
My name's Troy Evans. My wife, Sonia Evans. We've been married for 32 years. She's my high school sweetheart.
Aww.
I'm a union painter. I've painted, there's about no building downtown in Indy that you can't point at that I haven't painted in at some time or another. I've painted about everywhere downtown, including Lucas Oil Stadium, the field house, the Bank One. I can name several. I could go on forever on the painting. So I've been in lots of lifts, boom lifts, scissor lifts, stationary lifts, swinging scaffolds, just about any kind of lift or lifting device that you can think of. So that's basically what I do, paint everything.
And now, when you say scaffolds and lifts and things like that, how high were you up today? He had to work earlier today.
Yeah, I was 160 feet today.
160 feet.
And lower.
That's 16 stories, right?
Yep, 16 stories. That's the top, as high as I have to go where I'm at now. So it's up a ways. I've been higher than that. I've been 360 feet before, but
some smokestack or something?
Smokestack, yeah. You get on a motion chair is what that's called, and it's just pretty much like a rope swing. And you got another rope that your lanyard hooks to, which your lanyard is your harness that keeps you from falling. It's tricky.
How many years you been painting, you think?
About 25 at least.
So you've been up once or twice?
I've been up, consistently for years. Pretty much on something, at least a ladder. I've never ever been scared of being in a lift. I've been in lifts. I stand on the rails. I've climbed in and out of them. I've been up and down. I've never really been scared. Scissor lifts, boom lifts. What I'm in now is a boom lift, and a boom lift is kind of like a big crane with a basket on the end of it. It's got a big base that sits there, and then it's got one mast that sticks out with a basket on the end of it. That basket is what you stand in, where the controls are at, that you make it go up and down with. Scissor lift would be the square ones like you see at the mall or whatever, where they're putting up signs or whatever. It just goes straight up and straight back down. A boom lift can turn and angle and boom in and out. There's a lot more movement on those. So,
well, and I asked you the other night because I had no idea. You control it from the basket,
yes,
but it can be controlled from the ground as well.
Absolutely. The ground controls are more of a safety thing, and like when I left tonight after I got done, you use the ground controls to raise the basket up so nobody gets in there and does anything crazy. So unless they know what they're doing, they can't really get into the baskets and do anything. Plus we pull keys out of them, so I mean.
Take us from the bottom where you had to kind of move it around a little bit.
Okay, boom lift, it has to be the base of it has to be flat. If the base is not flat, it won't let you raise up. It'll let you raise up a ways, and then it stops. It shuts off and starts alarming and says, hey, you're off kilter, got to go back down. Well, sometimes when it does that, we'll take boards or pieces of concrete or whatever we need, and we'll drive the wheels up on it to make the base up normal. And I've done this thousands of times. It's just a normal thing that we do. It's OSHA standard. As long as you're using the right kind of equipment, it's not a bad thing to do. Well, this time, instead of using boards or bricks or anything, there's a curve on the side of the road. Where the road comes down, there's too much of an angle where the lift's sitting at. So the base of the lift was off, and it would only go up so high and then it stopped. So you have to put it up on the curb. What I did is I drove two wheels up on the curb, and that made it level so I could go up. Well, for some reason this time, when I did that, it got in my head. I got to thinking about it. I got scared. I've never been scared. I've been high. I've been high so many times. It's just normal to me. To take pictures and stuff, when I look, it's just amazing to me that going that high, and I've never had a problem with doing it. So I don't know why it scared me, but it did scare me. And I started raising up. I got up about 60 feet and it stopped. It wouldn't work, like it was off kilter or something was wrong with it. I couldn't figure out what it was. And when I'm working, I always have my earpiece in. I listen to either Christian music, or I listen to the Bible, or I listen to other things talk shows, or any kind of just something to keep my mind off of stuff while I'm working. It makes the day go by faster. Well, when I got about 60 feet, it stopped. It wouldn't, even when it's off kilter, it will usually lower back down. It's slower and it takes a lot longer time to do it, but usually it will lower back down. For some reason this time, it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't go up, it wouldn't go down, it wouldn't move sideways. So I prayed. I stopped. I thought, I'll pray about it and we'll see if this works. Well, after I was praying, I heard something like someone was talking to me. But I'm 60 feet in the air. I can't even hear the people down on the ground. If they're screaming at me, I can't hear them. I heard a voice, though, and it said something to me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I prayed again, and I tried the controls, nothing. And I heard that voice again, and I couldn't figure out what it was, so I took my earphone out. As I take my earphone out, I hear that voice again, and it's the most calming, it's hard to explain. It's like a hug from your grandma, your favorite grandma, your best aunt, or your mom, or your dad. Just a big hug that makes you feel awesome. That's what it sounded like. It was so soft and calming, the voice was. And the voice said, "Listen to my word, and your fear will flee you." Well, I just thought, oh, I'm just thinking somebody's messing with me. That's just sounds in my head. The lips got me scared. It's just weird. I'm hearing stuff in my head. Somebody's messing with me down on the road. But there's no way. I'm 60 feet in the air. There's no way I could heard somebody the way I heard this voice. I heard the voice again. Listen to my word, and your fear will flee you. And I can't explain. There's no words to explain how calming and soft this voice was. And I couldn't bring myself to believe that it was anything other than God. But then I thought, well, wait a minute. You know, when you hear God's voice on TV, or you hear somebody talking about it, it's a big, booming, loud, angry voice that everybody hears, you know, that it overpowers everything. This did not overpower anything. I had to really listen to hear this voice. And when I heard it, it was just so calming. I don't know how to explain how calming that voice was. So what I did is I put my earphone back in, and I started listening to Matthew, the New Testament. I just started right at the beginning, just started listening. And as I started listening, my fear went away, and the lift just started working again. It let me go back down. And then I wasn't scared anymore, so I just went back up, and it just went up like it usually does, and I went back to work and had no problems the rest of the day. But the voice that kept saying that to me, it was, it's like warm sunshine on your face, or there just ain't words to explain how calming and that voice felt to me. It was the most awesome thing that ever happened to me. And the only thing I can think is it was God telling me to listen to Him.
You came back down. If you hadn't have heard that word, you would have probably been apprehensive about going back up, but because of the calmness, and that's one of the best parts of the story to me, is when you talk about how calming it made you.
Yeah, there's no words to explain it.
Now, every time that I've heard you say something about it, you compare it to a hug from your grandmother. And that means something special to Troy.
Yeah. As I grew up, my grandma was awesome. I spent every summer with my grandma. Every weekend, my grandma was everything to me. She was love of my life. I mean, she was the most awesome person you ever meet. She wouldn't kill a spider in her house. She would catch it and take it outside. She wouldn't swat at flies. If she was in the garden, bees would crawl on her and they would never sting her or anything. She just was an awesome person. So a hug from her was everything to me. I don't know about everybody else, but to me, a hug from my grandma was like everything.
So I find it interesting that the fear started lower to the ground when you've never been afraid ever.
Yeah, never.
25 years and never been afraid of going up in the lift, and something caused fear in you almost from the ground up.
I mean, I've been inside factories and airport hangars and crawl around in the steel at the top, just walking on the steel itself, and not been scared. So
You're 60 feet up, and I mean, did it just lose power? Is that what?
No, it just stopped moving like it was off kilter. It was like it was wrong, but there was no alarms going off. It just wouldn't do nothing. The controls wouldn't work. It wouldn't go up. It wouldn't do nothing. There's a button you can override the controls. In case it does get stuck, you can override and it will let you go down. That wouldn't work. Nothing would work on it. It just didn't. It was just stuck. It was still running. I could hear the engine still running, but nothing would move. No, it wouldn't turn. It wouldn't lift up. It wouldn't lower down. It wouldn't extend. It wouldn't do nothing. It just wouldn't move.
And correct me if I'm wrong. You don't have tons of people right there working with,
No, there's another guy in another lift, and he's a good 60 feet from me too. So with the noise downtown and the lifts running, and you couldn't hear another person. No, I take my phone with me because that is our communication. If something happens, that would have been my next step had I not got to there. I would have called somebody and said, "Hey, the lift is stuck. I can't do anything. Come get me. Do what we got to do." So.
You probably wouldn't have made that call anyway. You'd have probably figured it out.
Oh yeah, that would have been my last. That would have, yeah.
But you didn't have to figure it out. God figured it out for you.
Absolutely.
What? This getting close to a week now. Why do you think this occurred? You have any thoughts on?
I don't really know. I don't, because when I was listening to my earphones, it was Christian music I was listening to. So actually, it was I think it was Crowder. I'm not sure. I do it random and just let it play. So it could have been.
Well, it seems to me like he did that and allowed that to happen so you could share it.
Maybe. And he wanted me to listen to him.
Well, right. He wanted you to be obedient to begin with, and it's just neat to me that you thought, put it back in. I got the Bible right here. And instantly started listening to His Word.
At first, I just listened, and that's all I heard was that. Listen to my Word, and your fear will flee. So I didn't know what else to do other than listen to the Bible. There's nobody else that could have been there. From the street, there's no way. They can't communicate with you from the street because you cannot hear them. Downtown's loud to begin with. There's lifts running. There's the forklifts. There's another crane running. There's no hearing somebody else. Unless you're standing right there talking to them, it ain't happening. You ain't gonna hear them. So I don't know. That voice, as soft and calming as it was just so soft. There's no way to explain it. There is just no way to explain that voice and how calming and how just.
I'm going to assume that you'd never heard that voice before.
Never, no. I hope I hear it again.
Amen.
And I don't care the situation. Now I feel different about the lift. I mean, even if I get up there now, if I get scared, even if I got protection from God, but if I fall, I get to go be with God. So there's a win-win situation there.
Well, we'd prefer you stay around here for a little
Not
while.
like I want to leave or anything, but going there is not bad. That's not like,
That's like what the Apostle Paul said. If I stay, I have to gain. If I go, I have gain.
yeah, it's a win-win situation.
On the lift, as you the dog's whining. You made the dog cry. As you're going up and you have your earbuds in and things like that, is it, with all the noise everywhere, is it hard to concentrate, or you just done it so long that...
I've done it so long it doesn't really bother me, but a lot of people it does bother. The noise bothers them. You can tell they'll go and stop and go and stop and move and stop. I just pretty much one movement, just go.
Well,
I'm just used to doing it. I know how to make it go where I need it to go.
you probably pray up,
Every time before I get in the lift, I pray.
and when you're 160 feet up, and we've seen pictures of that you've sent back.
Yeah.
You probably already know the feeling of God being with you. He's with you every time that.
Somebody's there with me.
Well, and explain
Sure.
when you're up that high and the wind kicks off a little bit. And you've told me before.
Yeah, it'll make it'll make you tense up. That'll make anybody tense if it moves when you're not ready for it. Just like in the controls, when you're going up, if the basket, like you're going up at an angle, so that basket's going to change the way it's angled. If it's like that, you're going to be standing at an angle, so it'll do that automatic. When it goes up, it'll adjust that, and that'll make you tense up just because you're not ready for it to move that way. Even when you know what it's doing, if it moves a way that you don't expect it to go that way, then it's like, oh, it's not really scared. It just makes you,
Reflex.
yeah, yeah. If the wind blows, yeah, it's a lot of times when I take it up, I'll ease it over next to the building and let it just kind of bump the building where I'm not working, and then that way it doesn't move around. If not, if you're just out here, anytime the wind blows or you shift your weight or anything, it'll move. At any given point, it can move up to 4 feet, go